I think this might be the most affordable major city to live in Vietnam compared with giants like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. Da Nang, known for its beaches and modern infrastructure, Da Nang offers a good balance of city life and affordability. If you're considering living in Da Nang, then you're probably wondering about how much it'll cost you to live here on a monthly basis. In this video, I'm going to break down my monthly costs to give you an idea of what it costs me per month. However, this can vary widely depending on each person's tastes, interests, lifestyle, but hopefully this will give you an insight into what it costs me so you can see whether it's affordable. And I hope if anyone lives in Da Nang or has lived in Da Nang in the past, they can leave their experience and their prices in the comments. The biggest expense for most people in Da Nang is most likely accommodation. It certainly is for me. But, like always in Da Nang, there is something available to suit a wide range of budgets. What I share with you isn't the cheapest, but it's certainly not the most expensive either. There are lower priced options available, but on the other end of the spectrum, there are places that are much more expensive than what I'm paying. At the moment, I'm currently staying at a place that I've stayed at before, which is called H Suites. And this place, I've only signed a 2-month contract. So because of that, my price is probably higher than what some people pay. For example, if you sign a 3-month, a 6-month or a 12-month contract, of course, the longer the contract, that always means that you're probably going to get a little bit of a discount, which brings your monthly payment down. So the price that I'm paying on the screen now is 10.9 million Vietnamese dong as well. The price is here also in US dollars. What that gives me is a room that is 45 meters squared with a separate bedroom and living room and a bathroom and the kitchen as part of the living room. This price does include weekly cleaning as well. Actually, at the moment, the cleaning in H Suites is usually done every 5 days. There's no price for water. That is also included in the price. If you're planning though to stay in Da Nang more long term, then as I said before, you can definitely probably find somewhere with a little bit of a discount, which is the same standard of this place. If you are staying somewhere of a similar standard, share the information with me. I'm not claiming to be an expert of property in Da Nang, and I'm sure that there will probably be places of the same standard which we can get for a better price, but I haven't been to view that many places yet, and it'll be really helpful if you can tell us where to find those places and what the prices are that you're paying at the moment. One other thing that I want to mention about H Suites is on the roof. It does have a rooftop pool. For me, that's a priority. I know the beach is really close to here, but I don't always like going to the beach. Personally, I love having access to a swimming pool on a regular basis. And of course, if you find a property with a swimming pool, then you're going to expect to pay a little bit more. It does have a balcony, but the balcony is really small. There's a washing machine on the balcony, and then in the kitchen, there's cooking facilities such as a microwave, and there's a hob. There's 2 hobs in the kitchen as well. As I mentioned before, there might be other bills that you need to pay. For example, for me, I had an electricity bill each month that I've stayed here. So electricity at H Suites, that cost me 3,800 Vietnamese dong per unit. And at the end of the month, I was issued with a bill, and I think the bill was about 1.3 million Vietnamese dong. Now, like I mentioned before as well, there was no fee for the water and no fee for cleaning. If you're staying in an Airbnb, of course you're going to pay more. Some Airbnbs, they do include electricity, so there's no additional fees, but some of them, it's really important with Airbnb. I'm sure you already know this, but you just need to check, because some of them, if you're staying long term for a month or even longer, then it does state that you do have to pay an additional fee for the electricity. So just make sure you know that. I always reach out to the host on Airbnb, and I ask about the Wi-Fi, I ask about whether there's restaurants, whether there's a supermarket near to the Airbnb, and I always ask if there's any additional fees to pay. It's always worth doing that, and then you don't get a shock later when you're due to check out. Just to give you a little bit of context though, with the amount of electricity that we were using, there's two of us sharing in a 1-bedroom apartment. During the day, we do sometimes use the aircon in one of the rooms, but the majority of the time during the day, we just have the fan running. But in the evening, from say 5 o'clock or something, if we're both at home and we're watching TV, playing on our computer, usually the fan was running in one room and the aircon was running in the other. And then when we slept during the night, we would have the fan running all night, and that came to 1.3 million dong for the month. The next category is food, and this is one of those categories that does vary wildly from person to person. It really depends on your taste, what type of food you like eating. Do you like Western food or do you like eating local Vietnamese food? But if you do like local Vietnamese food in Da Nang, you're in luck because there's a lot of restaurants to choose from. A lot of local food, and of course, not always, but a lot of the time, local food is cheaper, a lower price than the Western options. For example, if you want to eat in one of the local restaurants, you can find banh mi, mi quang, boon cha, pretty much anywhere that you go within the city, you can find those dishes, and the price is ranging from a banh mi from 15,000, 20,000 Vietnamese dong, and then a mi quang, a boon cha, maybe 40, 50, 60,000 Vietnamese dong. You can also find many places selling a selection of pre-cooked items such as chicken, omelette, vegetables and spring rolls with rice. So these places, the food's usually on display and you choose your rice and choose the dishes. And again, these prices are really competitive. You can expect to pay maybe between 25,000 and 50,000 Vietnamese dong. Whatever cuisine you fancy in Da Nang, you're most likely able to find that. There's a really big vegetarian and vegan scene here. There's some lovely restaurants with some really tasty dishes in there. I'm not a vegan or vegetarian, but I do love eating at some of those restaurants because the food is delicious. But there's Indian, there's Korean, there's Thai. You name it, you can find any cuisine here. But of course, like I just said before, if you want to eat in one of those restaurants, then you will pay a little bit more. For example, in a Thai restaurant that we go to, which is really nice, you can expect to pay about 65,000 for chicken with basil or 75,000 for Thai green curry. Or you can go to a place called Roots Plant-Based Cafe, which I absolutely love, and you can have a meze platter, for example, for 100,000 Vietnamese dong, or a smoothie bowl, which is delicious, for 65,000 Vietnamese dong. One of the things that I really like, just on a side note, about Roots Plant-Based Cafe as well, in the menu, it actually states how many calories and how much protein is in each dish, which is perfect if you're on a little bit of a diet or you're trying to just simply count your calories. This is another vegan restaurant which we really like, which is called Kong Vegan Kitchen, and the food here is tasty. It is a lot smaller than Roots. Aesthetically, Roots Plant-Based Cafe does look nicer than Kong Vegan Kitchen, and the prices are slightly higher, and I think they've maybe got a little bit bigger a menu. But I really like the lemongrass tofu and rice, that's delicious. And with Kong Vegan Kitchen, they've actually got a loyalty program. So if you eat there on a regular basis, you get this little card, and after you've been there 6 times and you've got 6 stamps in your book, you'll be entitled to a free drink. And then when you've been there 12 times, you'll be entitled to a free meal. I'm up to number 9 now, so I need to eat there another 3 times, then I'll eat for free. I don't know about you, but I love something for free. But for any meat lovers, there are plenty of options as well in Da Nang. Another place that I really like going to is called Burger Bro, and for a burger and fries here, expect to pay about 120,000 Vietnamese dong, but it is a little bit more expensive, but it is delicious. That's only a really small selection of the restaurants that are here. In the area called An Thang, you'll find so many restaurants, but then if you go over to the other side of Da Nang, where you go across the river, there's a lot more restaurants to choose from. You definitely won't get bored and won't be disappointed with the food options, and you won't be disappointed with the coffee options. There's so many coffee options in Da Nang. If you're a coffee lover, you'll definitely be wanting to spend a bit of your time in the coffee shops because there's so many to choose from and it's the best coffee I've tried in my life. If you need to pick up a few groceries, there's a few options for you to choose from. You'll find in Da Nang, one of the shops that is really popular is Full Market. So there's a green sign outside, you find them everywhere on every street. And then there's another one which is really common, but it's not as popular as Full Market, called Win Mart. You can go and get your essentials there, such as milk, yogurt, if you want alcohol, snacks, things like that, or maybe fruit. But if you want to get a bigger shop and if you feel like cooking at home, then there's a big shopping centre which is called Go. It's also known as Big C as well. That's on the other side. Again, it's on the other side of the river, so it's really great there just to go and get your weekly shopping. Just to give you an idea of how much I spend on food, so my situation, I usually have breakfast at home and typically I eat lunch and dinner in a restaurant, maybe most days. On the odd occasion I might cook something at home, but I would say the majority of the times I eat in a restaurant twice a day, almost every day of the week. And I give myself a budget, a daily budget of about 350,000 Vietnamese dong, and that covers things such as food, but it also covers my additional things such as toiletries, or if I need to put any petrol in the motorbike if I'm going out for the day. So overall, my budget for food and other expenses is 10.5 million Vietnamese dong per month. You'll most likely also need to include a little bit of money for recreation, and it really does depend what you do. I'll give you an example for me. So for recreation, I don't drink anymore, and I spend the majority of my time either going to the restaurant or I might go to, for example, Banner Hills for the day. So I factor in maybe spending just for a day trip and going to an activity. A day at Banner Hills costs 900,000 Vietnamese dong, and that includes your return trip up and down in the cable car. Or I might jump on the motorbike and ride down to Hoi An, and I've done activities in the past where I've went on one of those bamboo boats, or we've went on the river in the evening just to go up and down the river, and that costs like a couple of hundred Vietnamese dong. I don't do things like that very often, maybe once a week, once a fortnight, so I just factor in a little bit more for that. But of course, if you're somebody who likes to eat in Western restaurants on a regular basis, if you like a beer with your meal, if you like to go out in an evening, maybe have a dance, listen to some live music, go to an open mic karaoke, then of course your budget's going to be higher than mine. But for me, my recreation budget is really low, and the 350,000 Vietnamese dong that I give myself as a daily budget, that tends to be enough for me to cover food and recreation. If you are living in Da Nang long term, you might want to consider having your own transport. Some people don't. To be honest, I've been here for a month and I've never ridden a motorbike yet. Jerry sometimes rides the motorbike, we've rented it, but we're actually thinking we're paying for a monthly rental, but we're not sure whether we use it often enough. I've got to be honest, in Da Nang, I do think the traffic is quite busy. I have seen a few accidents, so I'm just a little bit apprehensive about riding a motorbike here. And in England, we drive on the left. In Da Nang, well, in Vietnam, they drive on the right, so I'm not that confident for riding. But if you do want to rent a motorbike, I'll give you an example of the price. You can pick something up, such as a Yamaha Nuevo, which we have at the moment, and that'll cost you about 100,000 Vietnamese dong for a day. But if you want to rent the same bike for a month, we're currently paying 1.2 million Vietnamese dong a month, and we're renting that from H Suites. Then with petrol, we don't spend that much on petrol. We probably top that up and we fill the tank each week, and that costs us about 80,000 Vietnamese dong a week. But like I said before, we don't go far. There's many days where the motorbike is just sitting there, it's not being used. Other alternatives though, you can rent a car. I'm not sure how much it costs actually to rent a car. But some of my friends, they just use a bicycle. They feel safer riding around on a bicycle. I think with a bicycle, sometimes some of the Airbnbs that you stay in, they actually include the bicycle in the price. But just for argument's sake, for our video, we're currently paying 1.2 million for a month for the bike, and we're paying 320,000 Vietnamese dong a month for the petrol. Up to now, fingers crossed, I haven't needed to pay for any maintenance for the motorbike. Sometimes things do happen, such as you might get a flat tyre or the brakes might stop working, something like that, so you'll just need to do a quick trip to a garage to get that repaired. So I do always take that into consideration and think I might need to pay an extra 100,000 Vietnamese dong for a flat tyre or to get the brakes repaired, but it hasn't happened, as I said, yet. Hopefully it doesn't. Another essential that we need when we're living overseas, of course, is insurance. I'm currently using insurance with a company called Safety Wing. The cover that I've got, you don't need to be in your home country to take out this cover. So if you're already overseas or you're traveling, Safety Wing is perfect. And that costs me 2.4 million Vietnamese dong for 28 days cover. I've never needed to use it up to now, and hopefully never need to, but I do know that they have a great reputation and it's really easy to sign up. There's no annual contract, you simply just take it out for 28 days, and then if you don't want it to carry on, you can cancel it at any point. If you're looking for insurance for your trip, have a look in the description. I've left my affiliate link. Clicking on the link will give you all of the details for Safety Wing. All you do is you just put in your age, put in the dates of your travel, and then it calculates the price for you. If you do use my link, I do get a little bit of a payment, so it's there for you. Just have a look and see what you think for yourself. Whenever I'm living somewhere, it's really important to have access to a gym, and in Da Nang there are quite a few gyms available, but a lot of them don't have air conditioning. That might not be a problem for some people, but I've tried that. I've been to 2 gyms where there was no air conditioning, and when it's busy and it's a certain time of the day, like early afternoon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, it's really hot, and I don't enjoy my workout when I'm too hot. So there are a few newer gyms which have got air conditioning. I found this gym which is called HD Fitness, and I think they've got 5 gyms around the city. So I'll give you an example. I signed up for 3 months, and the price that I'm paying is 2.5 million Vietnamese dong for the 3 months. So if we break that down per month, that's about 830 Vietnamese dong per month. It's on 3 floors. It's not huge, each floor is small, but the good thing that I like about HD Fitness is it's got air conditioning, it's really clean, all of the equipment is new, it's really modern, so everything's working effectively. And if you want to do a little bit of yoga, all of the yoga classes are included at HD Fitness. I don't do that, but Jerry takes advantage of that. But 833 Vietnamese dong is a little bit more expensive than other gyms such as Pig Gym. Pig Gym I think's okay, that's in An Thong, and for a month I paid 550,000 Vietnamese dong for a month. It's got everything that you need, but it doesn't have air conditioning. So it depends really. If you want to pay a little bit more for the air conditioning and more modern equipment, then HD Fitness would be a better option. But if you're watching your spending, Pig Gym is also an alternative. One other expense to mention is the price that I pay for a data sim. Currently, I'm using a data sim with VTEL, and I pay 125,000 Vietnamese dong, and that gives me 5 gigabytes of data every day for 30 days. And I think that's about it. I'm sure I've covered every single expense. The grand total per month for me cost 27,255,000 Vietnamese dong. Translated into US dollars, that is 1,076 US dollars a month. I hope that was helpful. Let me know how much you spend. Are you spending more? Are you spending less? How can we save money? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.